Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marion. In today's video, I'm just going to give you all my honest review and my honest feelings about x-ray school and what I wish I would have known before I actually became a radiologic technologist. So I've been a tech over 10 years. I graduated from x-ray school in 2014 and I do specialize in different modalities in radiology. So sit back and relax because I'm going to give you all my honest review. And whenever I got out of x ray school, I'm born and raised in Louisiana. I don't live there anymore. It was hard for me to find a job. Keep in mind, things are a lot better now where x ray techs are needed, especially depending on what state you work in. I know there is an x ray shortage, and I know a lot of people is doing traveling tech, radiology traveling tech. So maybe that is helping out a lot, that there are a lot of travelers just filling in the missing pieces. But it took me 9 months to get my first x-ray tech job, and I was so discouraged because every time I would go to these job interviews, keep in mind, I went to about maybe 30, 20 or 30 job interviews. I put in over 50 applications within that 9 months of me waiting to get hired. I was working as a CNA for 4 years while I was in x ray school. So, what was discouraging me whenever I was applying for these jobs was every time, or not every time, but there was one or two times when I went in the interview, someone would ask me, what is your last name? Do you know this person? So it seemed like to me that it was more about who I know or who they know versus my qualifications. My qualifications being I just passed my registry. I do have 2 years of clinical experience that can be used on for my resume as experience, and you all have a shortage. So it was just so discouraging because it seemed like I wasn't getting hired based off of my qualifications. It was like it was a small town. Who do you know? Oh, you know this person, you have a job type of thing. So that was one thing that made me really want to move from that state was because it was hard for me to get a job. And I tried all over Louisiana. I tried in the area that I live. I even looked 2, 3, 4, 5 hours away that I was willing to move in, even areas that I didn't want to move in because I wanted to use my license. I just went to school for 4 years, so I really wanted to use my license or whatever. And then I enjoyed X-ray. No one, hardly anyone knew about being an X-ray tech in my small town. So I thought it was pretty cool, being an X-ray tech or whatever. And it was just fascinating how things work. So that was discouraging. Fast forward, I finally got my first x ray job. It was at a prison. So from the beginning, I wasn't even set up right to be an x ray tech because it already took me 9 months to find a job. It took me 9 months. And then my first x ray job was at a prison, which my skills are already limited at a prison because I'm only doing chest x rays. So I'm not doing any trauma x rays. I'm not doing head, skull, knee, feet, hand. I'm not doing any of those x rays. So for 2 years, I'm losing my experience. But I'm always grateful for my prison job because that was the first job that I had in x-ray for x-ray. So I'm always happy about that. Actually, that was the best x-ray job I ever had. It was just in a state that I outgrew. I was born and raised in. I no longer want to be there. So I was looking for other jobs in a different state and I moved. Fast forward when I moved to the new state that I was in, I had a lot of bad experiences. It took me a long time to, well, not much longer than what it did in my other state, but it took me quite a while to go to these jobs and get it and ask for the pay that I wanted because they saw that I was coming from a state that wasn't paying their tax a lot. So it gave them the power to lowball me. So for the longest, I was getting lowballed. People was offering me pay and I should have been getting a lot more, because at the time I was talking to someone also from Louisiana who moved to this new state. And she was just letting me know, oh no, you should be making this. So pay with X-ray techs, it comes with experience, it does, but you also will have people who will lowball you to see what they can get away with. What will you take? So I did. I just didn't have a good experience, to be honest with you, with X-ray, being an X-ray tech, because I started off going into the actual working career late. So for the longest, I was working as a certified nursing assistant CNA until I got my first X-ray job. When I moved to a different state, I worked at an urgent care, which it was a good job, but it just wasn't for me. Let's say that. Fast forward, whenever I was applying for other jobs, people didn't want to hire me because they're like, oh, you don't have a lot of experience. And I always say, well, how am I going to get experience when no one want to give me experience? So I get this job. What really turned me off, to be honest with you, what really turned me off about being an X-ray tech was that I was working at this place, and whenever I go to work, I don't think about anybody's weight. I don't think about what exam they came in there for. All I think about, these are patients, they are sick, we need to do their X-ray, and we need to do it fast so that they can get the results. If they're in the ER, they want to hurry up and see what's wrong with the patient. If they're on the floor, these patients probably have been here 1 to 3, 5 days or a month. Let's hurry up and get this done, get it done right so they can go home. That is how I think when I go to work. I don't think about who's doing what or whatever. So I had a bad experience where it just completely turned me off for being an X-ray tech. I was working at a job. I was working at a job, and I was PRN as needed. And so it's like whenever you're PRN or as needed, I don't know, but it seemed like the techs, because I'm a tech, so I can say this, and I've been working in radiology for 10, 11 years. So it seemed like the techs kick their feet up whenever PRNs are in and don't want to do as much as they should be doing. So I was there one day, and an x-ray came for me to go. An x-ray came up for any one of us to go do on the floor. Little did I know that people was looking at charts to see how much does a patient weigh. So I seen the x-ray came up, people were just sitting there talking on their phones, acting like they didn't see the order. They seen the order because as I was going out, someone made the comment about the patient's weight. So I seen the x-ray come up, and I went by myself to do it. Keep in mind, I see an x-ray come up, someone need an x-ray. I'm not checking all in between. So I go to the patient room, come to find out the patient was over, the patient was a larger patient. And I said, okay, that's why this x-ray has been sitting here so long, because they didn't want to do it because of the patient's size. All you had to do was say, hey y'all, who want to come with me to do this x-ray? The patient is like a little bit larger for one person. Let's just go and do it together. It could have been two techs that went up there. So I struggled with that x-ray by myself. I really struggled. Sometimes when you go to the floors, they have their nurses there, but they're sometimes they're busy too. And if they're not busy, yes, they will help you. But this was a day where everyone was busy and I didn't have any help. So I struggled with that x-ray and it burnt me out. So I said, okay, this is just one time. Let me just let this go. It took me a long time to get a job like this. So a hospital job doing x-ray, just let me just let this go. So I went back, and this is on another day. This time I went back on another day thinking that things was going to get better. And it was close to my lunchtime, and the person came to go to the ER with me to work, because for the longest I was in the ER working by myself. But to be honest with you, I probably prefer working by myself than working with people who's not going to work. And I'll just be honest. But so it was almost time for me to go to lunch, and I was getting ready to go to lunch. And when I was getting ready to go to lunch, No one was in the ER helping me anymore. They, I don't know, pretending to either be in a bathroom or for whatever reason, now they have to go to the floor and do an x-ray when nobody don't want to go to the floor to do the x-ray anyway. And I said, okay, I see why no one is down here now with me. That's because a trauma patient came in. So with trauma x-rays on this patient, you had to do a chest, a one view chest, which is just one picture. If you don't know anything about x-ray, it's just one picture of the chest. That's what one view stand for, just one angle, one picture of the chest. Then you had to do, I think it was like bilateral hips, meaning you had to take x-rays of the right hip. You had to take x-rays of the left hip. Keep in mind with x-ray, first before you take a hip x-ray, you need to get the whole entire pelvis. So I had to do the pelvis x-ray. And once again, I struggled with this x ray. I called for help, but nobody came. Nobody was around. So I struggled with this x ray because the patient was in a C collar, meaning like a cervical collar, for trauma reasons. If they suspect that the patient has a fracture, or maybe the patient has like a neck injury, or maybe the patient does have a neck fracture. It's different reason why they would have on a C collar. So it was little that the patient could do to help me. Even if they wanted to help me, they couldn't. And it's not their job to help me because they're in there hurt. And I have a team of people that should be helping me. So after that, I got turned off with X-ray because I started realizing the game that people play, to be honest with you, when it comes to X-ray. It's like, okay, I've been doing this for 20 years. I can get a break. I can chill and I can relax now. Or I've been at this company for 15 years. No one is going to tell me anything. I can take a load off. And then one day I was training a student, and this how I knew all of this was coming together and that it was trying to fall on me or a PRN, because one day I was training a student, and the student told me, "Hey, I want to tell you that they before you came in, they was up there, the full time techs, they was up there discussing what case they was gonna give you." So as a PRN tech in X-ray, depending on where you work at, they're not going to make you do procedures like going to surgery, doing x-rays with the doctor, because you're not there a lot. You don't know much about what this doctor like in surgery, or maybe you don't work the equipment enough to remember how to do a surgical case. Fluoroscopy, fluoro. A lot of places don't make PRN x-ray techs do fluoro because once again, you're not there a lot. You may not know what this radiologist like versus this radiologist, or you may forget how to do a fluoro case. So the student was telling me, hey, before you came in here, they was up there discussing you doing this because they didn't want to do it. So you see, like, I'm new. Well, I'm not new to this, but it took me a while to get experience doing X-ray. So I'm not comfortable at this time doing fluoro. So why would you stick something like that on me? So it was almost like it wasn't like a team effort. It's almost like, let's see how much she can drown type of thing. So I said, no, this not gonna be for me. So what I started doing was, and actually I was already doing it, but it gave me the boost to want to do more credentials after I seen that. So I said, what I'm going to do is I'm either going to work at a place where I'm working by myself, or I'm going to go back to school and get more credentials where I won't need too much of, I won't need a lot of help from anyone if they're not going to help me. So, and then what really turned me off about that place, another thing that turned me off about that place, it was clicks. So you have clicks in any department, in any job, it's going to be clicks. But I'm never in no clique, I stay to myself or whatever. So I had someone come up to me, and this is when I was trying to elevate, and the person saying, "You want to know why you're not working in this department?" This is after I'm already an X-ray tech. I've done been an X-ray tech for probably 3 or 4 years at this point, and I'm like pretty much a CT tech now, and I'm trying to move into CT. And the person was like, You want to know why you're not working in this department? It's because they don't like you. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, okay, what they don't like, that I come in here, I say good morning, then I do my job. They don't like that I come in and I don't say too much. I'm not entertaining anyone. I come in to do a job and I didn't come to entertain someone for 8 hours. So that's how I'm looking at things. So I say, okay, this is a place that I'm not going to do a lot of PRN shifts from or at. So after that, I stopped going there and started traveling somewhere else. So, and then another thing, when I was in x ray school, I was not set up well, like, not talking about my instructors or anything. They was great. I'm talking about the actual clinical site. So I did when I was an X-ray student. I had to rotate through surgery, and at this clinic or at this place, they had their own designated x-ray tech for surgery because I guess this person just loved surgery and was great at it. But when I came as a student, I was getting little to no training. And I think it's because of the state that I lived in. I think because this person may thought their job was going to be at stake if they trained me correctly and if I caught on and if I perform better than them, because I'm a very fast learner. So it's easy for me to catch on once I learn things. So from the beginning, I was not set up to succeed that great in x-ray, to be honest with you. But since I work as a multimodality tech, every now and then, if someone needs help, I help them out or whatever. But that just completely turned me off from being an x-ray tech, to be honest with you. But it's not always bad. I'm just giving you my honest experience, my honest truth, that sometimes, depending on where you work at or who you work at, well, where you work at or who you work with, it can be a good experience in x-ray where you love x-ray. I wanted to love it. Or it can be a bad experience like I was having the best experience that I had was at the prison. That was the best job I could ever have in X-ray, and I've been in radiology for 10 years, and no one has topped that job. So my light just suggested. But anyway, if you're watching this video and you watch to this point, I don't want to discourage anyone from joining X-ray. I just want you to know what I went through so that you don't have to go through the same thing. Or if you are going through the same thing and you really like x-ray, maybe you should just change your job. Instead of working with a group of people, maybe work by yourself. Or if it's not working out for you working by yourself, then go and work with a group of people, and maybe you'll have a better experience. So whatever you're struggling with, learn it as much as you can in clinical. Just gravitate to the tech who is teaching you, even if they don't want to teach you. I had someone not too long ago reach out to me and say, I just don't want to do this anymore. I feel like the tech don't want to train me. I feel like the tech don't want to teach me. So I don't want to really do it anymore. So yes, you probably will have a tech who don't want to train you as much, but gravitate to the tech. Just try to learn as much as you can, observe as much as you can, write down as much as you can, and maybe you will have a better experience. If not, then go to another modality in radiology and train. But other than that, that's it for this video. That's my experience with X-ray, and I just want to be honest with you. But it just the highlight of the video is it took me a long time to find a job. It took me 9 months, and then when I did get a job, the places I was getting a job at, it was a lot of experienced techs, more experienced than I was. Maybe they was unhappy at the place, and they just didn't have no get up and go, no drive. They probably been there for a long time and they knew no one was going to tell them anything, so they got away with a lot. So don't let that discourage you from applying to x-ray school, because there's always a job that you can go to. You can travel, you can work at a clinic by yourself, or you can work in a hospital with a lot of people where someone can help you. So anyway, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comment box. And If you like videos like this, please give it a thumbs up and I will do more sit down videos, tell you all about my story. All right. Bye, everyone.